Welcome back to Pietros Maneos Finance. In today's video, I'm going to discuss how I feel that Florida and Texas are now the twin centers of wealth and power in America, replacing New York and California. And the genesis for this video was actually a friend of mine mentioned to me that some very successful YouTubers are moving into my neighborhood here in Boca Raton. And it just made me think, if this were 2005, 2010 even, they would be living in Los Angeles. They would be living in California. But because of a lot of reasons what's going on in California, but primarily the higher taxes, the anti-business, the anti-wealth sentiment that you have in both California and New York, people like that are now living in South Florida. I've actually pulled up some examples of people like myself in the 1% who have ditched places like New York and California. So I just go through a couple names just to illustrate this point. So the first one here I have is David Tepper. He actually owns the Carolina Panthers. Investor like myself, though much more successful investor than myself, but just starting out. Give me 20 years. Yeah, so you can see David Tepper is reportedly buying a $73 million mansion in Palm Beach. So he left New Jersey. The tax officials there were freaking out. He was the highest taxpayer in the state, which is funny because so many of people, the rich don't pay their fair share. Well, it was apparently, I think, the highest taxpayer, part of the 1%. Now he's like, you know what? I'm out of here. So then you have another investor that I actually like a lot here, Icahn, has officially ditched New York City for Florida. He brought his whole firm there. I believe they're in Sunny Isles. So you have Tepper, Icahn. Here's another one here. Patrick Bet David. I actually thought he moved right down the street from me in Boca, but it looks like here it was at least the home is in Fort Lauderdale. Maybe the studio is in Boca. But you see that influx of wealth, power, capital into South Florida. And then you have Uncle G, Grant Cardone, why I moved to Miami. Again, another Californian. He had all his stuff in California. I think he said to his wife one day, hey, we're selling everything, put everything on the market. Commercial real estate, personal real estate, we're out of here. Now he's in Aventura, Sunny Isles, kind of the same area. And then you have former President Donald Trump, lifelong New Yorker, declares himself a resident of Florida. So all these are Florida, which is interesting. That's why I view Florida probably as 1 and Texas as 2. No offense to people from the great state of Texas, but it seems like more of it's going to Florida and then some is going to Texas. And the next one is the Texas one. Joe Rogan, podcaster Joe Rogan, officially makes his move to Texas. So yeah, those are just like 6 examples there of people that have fled high tax states for Florida or Texas. And, I personally live in Florida, and I don't think I would ever move from here permanently. I mean, I love North Carolina. I love the mountains of North Carolina. I had a vineyard in the brushy mountains of North Carolina. I looked to maybe purchase another vineyard, but as far as a permanent resident, I can't see myself being anywhere else, to be frank. Not, the lifestyle, the restaurants, it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. So another thing that I wanted to talk about, and just kind of observing what's going on, being a student of history, it made me think actually of the expulsion of the Jews in 1492. Ferdinand and Isabella, I believe it's called the Alhambra Decree. Yep, there it is, the Alhambra Decree. mandating that all Jews be expelled from the country. And I remember reading a history book, and a lot of them went to the Ottoman Empire. And I think it does mention that in this particular, yep, it does. Well, the Ottoman Empire welcomed the influx of Spanish Jews. Many other nations in Europe treated them as cruelly as the Spaniards. Though Portugal was a popular destination, its rulers issued a similar decree 5 years later. So the Ottoman Empire got a lot of the Jews. And I remember reading a book, and it mentioned how the Sultan at the time, the Ottoman ruler, essentially said, what fools are Ferdinand and Isabella, because they've sent me such an industrious, entrepreneurial, merchant-based wealth creators in the Jews. And so it just, obviously there's no decree in New York and California, of course. So it's not to that level of an Alhambra decree, but just the sensibility in those places is, rich don't pay their fair share, resentnik against the wealthy, 1%. I think people there have the mentality of resenting the wealthy and the rich instead of trying to become the wealthy and the rich. And so it's a totally different mentality. I mean, you could take everything I have now, millions of dollars in brokerage account, millions of dollars in real estate, deep six figures in crypto, and I still would not become someone who resented Carl Icahn, David Tepper, Jeff Bezos, Grant Cardone, Patrick Bet David. I would not be someone who was like, oh, it's not fair that they have all this and I don't. I feel that's a loser mentality. And it's just not something I've ever subscribed to in my worldview, basically. Even when I was poor, just kind of on the come up, so to speak, and now being a part of the 1%. And so yeah, it's just interesting. Again, all this came about, this thought process came about when a friend mentioned that very successful YouTubers are moving to my neighborhood. Though I'm doing this on YouTube, I don't consider myself a YouTuber just yet. I mean, my wealth is from my investments. My wealth is from my brokerage accounts, my real estate holdings, so on and so forth. So this is just fun for me. I'm enjoying this. I turn on the camera, I pontificate, I do screen shares of my brokerage accounts. I talk about my philosophies. I've met some cool people, some great comments coming in. So I'm just having fun with this. I mean, if it turns anything more, beautiful. If not, not. But speaking of that, there's 180 subscribers. So I'm up 110 subscribers just in like a month or so. So really appreciate all the subscribes and questions. I really like the questions too, because what I do, sometimes I'll get a question and I'll do a video answering the question. So any questions about investing, options, anything, or just even what I'm doing, feel free to write in. Really appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Take care. Ciao.